Hello, everyone. My name is Natalie Young, and I will be taking you through a very high-level overview of RunSignUp's payment reports today. So I will just go through and do a demo, and then if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, and we will try to take some extra time at the end to answer anything outstanding. Okay. So first I wanted to walk through, as a race director, there's a few different ways that you can access your payment reports and payment accounts. So the first way that you can do that is directly from your RunSignUp profile. So if I am logged into my profile, under the director link section of the site, you can see that there's my races, and that will list out any races that you have race director access to. And there's also a race payments section. So if we click on that, it gives us a list of any current payments that we've received. There's a date range up at the top that you can change and filter. And from this payment section, you can click on View Details, and it takes us into the back end of the race, where we can see the financial summary page specific to that race. And there's additional reports here specific to the payment that you can download, which I will review shortly. So if we go back to our profile, the next section that we have access to is payment accounts. As a race director, if you have access to any payment accounts, from here you can click on Manage, and this will allow you to see any payments that are upcoming, which nothing is showing for this race because there isn't an upcoming payment. You can see your payment frequency and maybe make changes to any of your payment account information. So I'm going to go ahead and go back into my profile so I can access the race, and I'll show you some of the payment reports that you have access to from the back end. So within the race, you can view everything under Financial Summary, and this is the overall financial summary page that shows you the total number of transactions, any race processing fees that your race has incurred, any refunds that were processed, or holdbacks. You will see holdback amounts if you have any type of participant management features turned on, like event transfers or bib exchange transfers, referral refunds, team refunds. Anything where funds might be refunded to a participant, the system will hold back some funds from each payment to allow for those refunds to process. Also on this page, you can click the View Detailed Summary section. So this is just a quick view of your race fees, processing fees, any coupons. Refunds would also show here. The more features that you have enabled in your race, the longer this detailed summary section will be. But from here, you can actually click the Show Hide Quantities button as well, and it will give you some registration counts. So we can see that in race fees, there were 8 registrations, and we collected a total of $235. So just a nice quick overview of counts and revenue amounts. You can also download this report into Excel. At the bottom of this page, it's just another quick summary. You can see the transaction breakdown. It gives you your percentage of registrations, registration amounts, donations, store purchases. So this graph isn't very exciting since this race just opened, but if we go up to the top, so this race has actually happened for the last 8 years. So you have the ability to switch your event date. So I'll go to a different year just so this report is a little bit more exciting. So down at the bottom, we can see that 93.2% of the transactions came from registrations and the rest were from donations. There is an other section here, which can be a little bit confusing, but the other field will represent any transactions that aren't specific to registration or donation. So these things might be like transfer fees or special team fees. So these options, the other field will really only show up if you have other participant management features turned on as well. So from the financial summary page, you can click into each one of these options, transactions, refunds, and holdbacks, to see more detail. The section that you'll be using the most often is this transactions link. So from here, you can also enter and filter a date range. It will show you the total number of transactions and the amount paid for this year of the race. And then it gives you a detailed overview of all the transactions that have processed for this race within the date range. So it gives you an overview of transactions, but you can see that for some transactions, there will be multiple registrations within a transaction, or a registration and a donation. So this gives you some great detail if someone contacts you and you need to do research or for reconciliation purposes. Down at the bottom of this page, there's the option to group registrations by race fee. So I like this option. Once you click it, it gives you an overview of the total amounts paid grouped by registration fee. So we can see that a majority of our people paid $30, but there were some people who got the early entry rate, and then just a few who registered on race day at that last pricing tier amount. You can also click Event Summary on this page. This is one of my favorite sections. So it gives you a breakdown of the event, the number of registrations that processed in each event for the entire time range that we entered on the last page, total event costs, processing fees, and total profit. So this is a great report to give you just a quick overview of your total profit for each event. This race doesn't have any add-ons, but if you had any add-ons or selling merchandise during the registration process, those add-ons would be itemized here with the counts and the revenue amounts as well. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the transactions report. Actually, I'll go back to the financial summary page. So from this page, we've covered the transactions tab. Next, we're going to go into the payment tab. And this section can be a little bit boring, but I'll try and make it as exciting as I can. So the first report here is the payment summary report. So this is a basic payment summary report, and I'd say that this report is more information for about 60% of our races. It's nice in the way that it downloads. The first tab gives you an overview of all of the payments that you've received for that race. The second tab, so if there was 10 payments within this race, there would be an additional 10 tabs. So it's nice that it gives you an overview and it breaks out the payment information in additional tabs. So in the additional tabs, like the event summary that we just saw, it will give you a breakdown of the number of registrations and revenue that was received for each event. And then it also lists out donations, donation processing fees, any processing fees that the race incurred. This report can be longer. Again, it depends on the amount of participant management features or other pricing options that you might have enabled for your race. I'm going to switch the year so we have some additional data in the next reports that we download. The next report is the detailed payment report. This is actually my favorite report, and I think this report, it actually works for 100% of the races. It might be a little bit more information than some organizations might need, but the summary page, the summary section at the bottom, which I'll show you, works for those organizations. So this report, again, it breaks down the number of registrations per event in that pay period, but what is nice is you can see that for this event, there was a price increase during the pay period, so it actually breaks out the number of registrations that processed at each price point within the event. So I know some larger organizations like to keep track of that, so it's clearly broken out in the report for you. If processing fees are being absorbed by the race, which I know is rare, usually the processing fees are passed on to the participant. But if they're being absorbed, they're clearly itemized and detailed here for you within each event at each price point as well. This also has giveaways, deferrals, gift certificates. So any participant management feature that you might be enabled, it's very detailed in each section here for you. Registration add-ons, transfer fees. So this gives you a very clear report of the transfer in and transfer out amounts and any transfer fee revenue that the race might have received. Donations and the donation processing fees. If you have multiple charities integrated with your registration, this is a great report for you. There's actually a second tab to this report, Donation Summary, that clearly lists out all of the charities and the donation amounts that were processed for each charity during that pay period. So there's some other things. Coupon codes. I love this part of the report. It gives you a breakdown of all of the coupon codes that were used during that pay period, number of uses, and total discount amounts. So instead of going into the coupon report and manipulating the information specific to that payment, it's clearly broken out for you. The other one I want to point out is refunds. If any refunds were processed during this pay period, the participant's name and refund amount will also be listed in this report. So saves you some time in the long run if you need to reconcile that information specific to each participant. And then at the bottom, it just gives you a summary of all of the sections we went through above, clearly itemized here for you. So again, this is my favorite report. So we'll just go through a few others. The individual payment summary, race only. Again, you're selecting it for each payment period, not overall. But this is just a quick screenshot for you of the event, number of registrations, race payments. So a little bit repetitive. We have some of the same information in different areas of the system. A lot of these features or reports were built out based on feedback from specific organizations. So we have lots of options depending on what you need for your accounting and reconciliation purposes. Oops. The next one, event summary. So this is the report that I already showed you, but it allows you to see that event summary broken down just for a specific payment. So we'll go ahead and select this, and it generates the same screen, but just for that payment. So a nice way to do a quick breakdown for each payment. Going to switch the year at the top again. The next one, race date summary. So we already did a very detailed overview of the financial summary page. The race date summary option, if we click view, it gives us a screenshot of the financial summary page for every year that the race has taken place. So this is a quick way for you to do year-over-year financial comparisons directly within the back end of your race. So that's a nice one. And then race payments list. So you can download the report as a CSV, but you can also just view the information directly within the back end of the system. So payment ID, this just gives you a transaction summary specific to that specific payment. So if we click into it, you can see again, it looks like that financial summary page. But one thing that is great about this section of the report, this is also the same report that we viewed directly from the user profile when we clicked into the View Payment Details section. So same report, just accessing it from a different area. From here, if we click this registration button, it will download a list of the registrations that process just within this payment. So I work with a few different organizations that they do much more detailed accounting and reconciliation, and they like to reconcile the payment specific to each participant. So if you have a need for that, where you want to know the exact names and addresses and emails and contact information for anyone who registered within a specific payment period, this is the report that you could use to access that information. And then the same for donations. So I work with a few charities that they also do the same thing. For every payment they receive, they come into this report and they download the donations, and they actually mail out weekly donor thank you letters. So this is a great way to get that report for reconciling donations specific to a payment. So up at the top here, you could download the current report as CSV. Same thing with store purchases and company paid payments if you have corporate teams enabled. If we go back to the payment list, there's also an invoice number. So the invoice number gives you the transaction breakdown. So similar to the graphs that we see at the bottom of the financial summary page, but it's specific to just this payment. And then just some additional information. It gives you the transaction range, total payment amount. So this is a great place for you to go as you receive each payment when you're doing reconciliations. And then we have some additional reports here. They're kind of covered in a few other sections, so I won't drill down very deep. But the race payment registration, so this is the same report that I just showed you, where you can download the list of participants specific to a payment. And then the same with donations, stores, corporate team payments. So these are the same reports that you can access from within the payment details, just in a different area for quicker access to certain reports. And the last part of the financial summary section is the payment account section. So this is where you can go to view which payment account you have associated to a race, and you can manage it. So from here, you could see any upcoming payments. We've already been over this section, but add access, see who has access, make any changes to your payment account, edit it. So just another way to get to that page. And that is it for the high-level overview of the RunSignUp payment reports. I will just, let's see if there's any questions. Is the payment the same thing as a deposit? So this will actually depend on how you have your payment set up. So for instance, if you have one payment account tied to 3 different races, you might receive a payment of $10,000, but that's broken down into different amounts within each race. So a great example of this is if we go to the race payments list and we click into the payment ID, the invoice number, sorry about that. This shows you the total payment amount, but on this report, if this payment account was attached to 3 different races, those races would be listed in additional rows on this page. So it would show you the payment amount and then give you a breakdown for the amount for each race. I hope that answered your question. Will that include membership payments? It depends on the membership, on what type of membership you're using for. This box is very small. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time seeing your question. Membership payments. It depends if you're using our RunSignUp's actual club membership integration or if you are using just a membership discount, which can be set up under financial pricing membership. So if it's an actual club membership integration, that payment would be made to the payment account that you have set up for the club. If you're using financial pricing memberships, not the True Club integration, those membership discount amounts or increased amounts would show on this report, and those would actually be clearly detailed for you in that detailed payment summary report. And I think that is it for all of the questions. If you have any additional questions, feel free to send emails to your account managers or reach out to your sales reps, and we can answer any additional questions that you might have. But thanks for your time, and have a great rest of your day.